Okay, everybody ready? We ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. and call on Councillor Didavides to read the land acknowledgement.
The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as Pontiwandarunk, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe, including the Mississauga, the credit of the First Nations. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live in and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor DeRose. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Adoption of the minutes, CL 6/2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the open and closed minutes from council meeting held on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025? I got Councillor Decker and Councillor Sentence. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mayor's report. On April 16th, CAO Manoj Dalwaria and I attended the Marine Club Spring Luncheon held at the Holiday Inn and Suites, St. Catharines Conference Center. Bruce Burrows, President and CEO of the Chamber of Marine Commerce, gave an excellent presentation on navigating uncertainty, the political landscape, and its impact on Great Lakes shipping. On April 21st, Manoj Dalwaria and I met with Brock University President and Vice Chancellor Dr. Leslie Rigg and Vice President External Megan Rusnell. We meet quarterly to discuss issues like community relations, partnership, and collaboration opportunities. On April 24th, Manoj Dalwaria and I attended the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce Niagara Business Leadership Series event held at the Stone Mill Inn in St. Catharines. The topic of discussion was what tariffs mean in Niagara business. There was an excellent presentation followed by a panel discussion. The City of Thorold held their Earth Day and Community Cleanup events on Saturday, April 26th. Earth Day's theme in 2025 is Our Power, Our Planet. The Knights of Columbus co-hosted their Garden Fest. Gald Nurseries did a tree giveaway. Thorold Public Library and TCAG hosted many activities as well as other community partners to make this a very successful and well-attended event. I'd like to thank city staff, a special shout out to Jacob Tedesco and the organizing team for organizing the Earth Day event, as well as our special events team. Also, thank you goes out to the BMI team, who chose Allenberg Park area for one of their community cleanups on April 22nd. On April 28th, the National Day of Mourning, flags across the city flew at half-mast to honor those who have lost their lives, suffered injury or illness, or experienced a workplace tragedy. Thank you, Councillor Hanley, for representing City Council at the Niagara Regional Labour Council National Day of Mourning ceremony held in Port Robinson on April 28th. This ceremony was in honor of Robin Lafleur, who died in the explosion at the Esquire Canada plant in 1999. May 1st is National Doctors' Day, also known as National Physicians' Day. This date was chosen by the Canadian Medical Association in recognition of Dr. Emily Stowe, the first female physician to practice in Canada. National Doctors' Day honors and recognizes the dedication and commitment of physicians to their patients and communities. In Ontario, First Responders' Day is celebrated on May 1st each year. This day is recognized and honored by the First Responders' Day Act 2013. It acknowledges the critical role of first responders in protecting life, property, evidence, and the environment during emergencies. International Firefighters' Day is observed annually on May 4th, internationally. It is a time when the world's community can recognize and honor the sacrifices that firefighters make to ensure that their communities and environment are as safe as possible. It is also a day which current and past firefighters can be thanked for their contributions, as well as a time to remember the firefighters who have been lost in the line of duty or passed on before us. On behalf of City Council, staff, and our community, a special thanks to Thorold Fire and Emergency Services. Your service to our community is appreciated. National Volunteer Week 2025 is celebrated from April 27th to May 3rd. The theme this year is Volunteers Make Waves. This theme celebrates the power of volunteers to create positive ripples of change in their communities. The City of Thorold thanks all those who step up and volunteer in our community. Your commitment to making our city a better place to live and raise a family is much appreciated. The City of Thorold's popular Lock 7 Viewing Center, 50 Chapel Street South, is opening on May 17th for the season. The viewing center will be open daily from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The Port Robinson Ferry, Bridget, it will open weekends from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. starting on May 3rd. Beginning on May 17th, the ferry will operate daily until the end of the season. Niagara Unites, the Niagara region, in collaboration with all 12 local municipalities, is encouraging residents to shop, support, and share local. The Support Local initiative joins similar efforts across the country designed to stimulate local economies and ignite pride in buying local and supporting local businesses. They are the heart, the backbone of our community, as well as all communities across Canada. Congratulations goes out to Niagara South-elect MP Fred Davies on being elected as the federal representative in our riding. As well, thank you everyone who put their name forward, not only to run in Niagara South, but across Canada in this federal election. Our heartfelt condolences, thoughts, and prayers are with the families and friends of the victims, 11 killed and many more injured, of the Filipino community in the city of Vancouver. On Saturday evening, when this terrible tragedy occurred, the driver of an SUV drove into a crowd at the Filipino Canadian Heritage Festival in Vancouver. He has been apprehended and charged. In closing, our heartfelt condolences, thoughts, and prayers go out as we mourn the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis, who passed away on Easter Monday at the age of 88. Known as the People's Pope, his unwavering commitment to compassion, peace, and justice served as a moral compass in an era marked by division and uncertainty. And that's the end of my mayor's report. Up next, we have presentations. EVSX battery recycling. I'll call on Ian Perez, President and CEO, for the presentation regarding EVSX battery recycling, and you have 10 minutes for the presentation. Welcome, Ian. Is Ian here? Is he online? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah. Welcome, Ian. Is there a video?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a presentation that should be screening.
Okay, welcome Ian, and I see you there now. And is the presentation prepared to?
The presentation was supposed to be streamed by the City of Thorold. That's the agreement we had.
Hold tight until we get through. We got technical difficulties here.
No problem.
Did you get the marriage? There it is. Now, who's going to scroll it? Okay. Ian, we're ready.
Okay, terrific. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time this evening. My name is Ian Perez. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of EVSX Corporation. I have actually been in the role now for just over 6 months, and we have made some pretty significant progress that we'd like to share with you this evening. I'm joined today by my colleague Frank Dumas, who is the Chief Operating Officer. He's actually physically in chambers with you, and if there's any technical questions, not that I want to get it too much technical, we can possibly take that offline, but he's available if there's questions.
Welcome, Frank.
Thank you. We're here to update you on what is going on in terms of our battery processing operations. As you're probably aware, we are in the BioVel 2 complex right by the Welland Canal. Next slide, please. So I'll just leave the disclaimer on the screen just for a moment, just for your reference. Okay, we can continue on, please. Next slide. Thank you. So we have just a summary of the agenda items that we'll be discussing this evening. I'm not going to touch on every single item on this list because we'll go through it, but specifically we want to talk a little bit about a notion that we call, which is tone from the top. I want to obviously give you a description of what is happening exactly at the Thorold facility and some background on that specifically. I'd like to talk to you about what we see as sort of a modern recycling facility and what that looks like, and talk a little bit about regulatory oversight and how that works and how it applies to us. And we'll move into just concluding comments and open it up for questions that you may have. Next slide, please. So EVSX Corporation has been in pilot operations since September 2024. We had a small alkaline line that was processing batteries. I would just comment that there was no incidents whatsoever. There was no fires or anything like that. Since I joined, we began installation of a new multi-chemistry line, and that's actually completely installed at this stage. We've partnered with Call to Recycle, who we really see as the leading battery collecting enterprise in North America, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few moments. We've actually had on-site meetings with Terry Dixon as well as the Chief Administrative Officer, specifically just walking through the overall layout, the process flow, the fire mitigation procedures we have in place. And I can only conclude they were satisfied because we obviously received some fairly positive press regarding the visit. Our primary objective at EVSX is to put the community's mind at ease. It's our top priority, and we're here to make sure that we can answer any questions that not only you councillors may have, but also the community. We take our fiduciary obligations very seriously. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of a public company. We have a lot of experience. I've been running public companies for decades, and we know what needs to be done. In a very challenging labor market, I think we can all agree on that. Our success is directly correlated to the strength of our team, and slowly but surely we're putting together a very solid management team who will be running operations as we move forward. Next slide, please. So we have this notion which really dictates how we move forward with decision making, and that is tone from the top. We do whatever it takes to make sure that health and safety is never compromised. We make sure that there is full safety protocols in place. There's no exception to PPE variances. And we actually issue stock options in the public company, because as I mentioned, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of a public company. We issue those stock options to every single employee because every single employee is important. And our vernacular is very simple. A happy employee is a productive employee. We have continuous training and supervision in place. We will have fully certified operators. We will be fully certified in terms of WEMIS, WSIB, Minister of Labor, occupational health and safety protocols. We have a fully monitored alarm system, including smoke detectors, security cameras, inside and out, 24/7 monitoring. And we will have regular interactions and meetings with stakeholders to ensure that we have the very best practices in terms of health and safety as we move forward. Next slide, please. So our Thorold facility is roughly 35,000 square feet. It's an industry-leading battery recovery line. And just want to make the comment that it was sourced from established manufacturer with a decade-long string of global sales. They distribute just about on every single continent. So this is not a new machine by any standard. This is not something that's not been tried and true across multiple countries in the world. In terms of our objective, we're trying to do mechanical separation. There's no actual solvents added as part of the overall process. We're trying to make sure that 100% of all the material within the battery is recycled, with literally nothing going to landfill. And so we have a furnace, which effectively is drying out the material once we crush the batteries, because the internal components actually tend to be a little bit wet. So this is not an issue of this being a pressure vessel. It's no different than a furnace at home. It's just a little bit obviously higher temperature and bigger to accommodate the drying of the batteries. And the objective is once the interior components are dried, it flows along that mechanical separation line to basically separate outputs, which distribute the steel, the aluminum, the copper, the brass, the black mass, which is actually the battery metals, into various outputs, which is in turn redistributed right back to the supply chain. In terms of equipment, we were very, very careful with this. The equipment is CSA certified. We actually played a significant premium to have a CSA approved electrical cabinet. So we have a series of cabinets, or if you can imagine, sub panels that drive all the machinery. That's all CSA approved. That was essential for us receiving the ESA, Electric Safety Authority, final approval that we have in place right now. All of our components are to Western specs, meaning that it is North American safety protocols, absolutely essential as we move forward. We've gone through a series of mandatory as well as discretionary inspections. And we've actually gone through specifically a series of pre-start inspections to ensure that we're compliant with all of the Occupational Health and Safety Act standards that apply to this type of facility. Next slide, please. So the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, MECP, are responsible for reviewing and approving ECAs. And so the Thorold facility has an air and noise ECA that was issued in March of 2025. And it reflected the fact that this machine has really been designed well. We have redundant air scrubbing equipment in terms of the overall design. I'm pleased to report the line was actually fully commissioned under supervision with our independent engineers in China before it came across. And the test data that we have in hand that was shared with the ministry was actually a fraction of the tolerable limits. And we actually, as part of the air and noise permit, will be conducting real life emissions data as well to make sure that what we experienced in terms of test data coming out of the Chinese commissioning is the same as what we see here. And we have full confidence that will be the case, but it's just a measure that we're taking just to make sure that the emissions coming out is safe. In terms of our waste to ECA, we've actually applied for a technical amendment as it relates to the overall battery chemistries. So we have a waste ECA in place. It relates strictly to the processing of alkaline and zinc carbon batteries. What we're trying to do is obviously amend that so that we can process additional chemistries now that we have the ability to process multiple chemistries. Next slide, please. So in terms of battery supply, one of the things that I wanted to leave with you this evening is that alkaline really represents the majority of the battery collection efforts in North America. It's still some 70+% of the batteries that are being processed. And when we talk about risk of fire, and we'll talk a lot more about that in a few slides, mis-sorting is really one of the biggest problems, but there's redundant mitigation procedures that we have in addition to partnering with Call to Recycle that has a 30-year track record in terms of safety precautions. In terms of discharging, certain battery types need to be discharged. Alkaline batteries do not need to be discharged, so just so you understand that. Lithium batteries and EV batteries do need to be discharged, and they are either mechanically discharged or immersed in solution for a period of time until they're fully discharged, and then they're retested before they are actually put through the shredder, which is the primary fire risk. In terms of battery types, just wanted to be clear that we are actually processing battery types based on chemistry. So this is not a situation where we are actually putting different types of batteries all together and putting them through the shredder to go through the line. This is where we are processing all alkaline batteries together, all lithium primary batteries together, all nickel cadmium batteries together. So it actually reduces the risk substantially in terms of health and safety to make sure that the battery types are consistent. The battery supply mix will change over time, and we're ready with our multi-chemistry line. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. So I don't know if you've ever noticed when you drop off your batteries at your Best Buy, Home Depot, Canadian Tire, but typically it's a box like this where you are depositing your batteries. Call to Recycle collects some 80% of the total batteries collected in North America. They've basically processed 50 million kilograms of batteries since 1997. We've gone through a series of rigorous qualifying inspections prior to being approved as a processor. We've negotiated a new 3-year contract, and we've actually received very strong support from Call to Recycle in terms of just the implementation and development of our health and safety protocols. In terms of intact batteries, just want to mention that the batteries are FOB EVSX's facility, meaning we're not responsible for batteries until the intact batteries arrive at our door. So all of the safeguards that need to be put in place prior to the batteries, intact batteries being shipped, they actually fall on Call to Recycle, again, with decades of experience in doing so. And I want to also comment that the batteries that we receive are end of life, meaning they're either very low in charge or have no residual charge whatsoever.
Ian, I'm going to have to get you to wrap up. I'll give you another minute or two just to, because you're
sorry. Yes.
You're past,
thank you.
You're
okay.
at 10 minutes.
Thanks. Just want to talk a little bit about what a modern battery recycling facility looks like, because EVXX has really assembled what we deem to be a best-in-class modern facility. We have redundant fire suppression systems in place, very strict handling protocols, and we have significant technological advances, including X-ray technology, which has reduced the risk substantially. Next slide, please. Okay, I won't go through the environmental benefits, just conscious of time. What I wanted to just comment was that we are actually introducing 10,000 tons per year in terms of capacity, which is a meaningful piece of the Ontario market, and it allows for increased battery collection efforts. Right now, we see but a fraction of our batteries actually recycled. The majority of it actually goes into landfill, and the environmental risks are real. And I don't know if you've seen the ad campaign on TV with Christine Sinclair, but now that Call to Recycle has another 10,000 ton per year processor that's come on stream, we can actually increase our overall battery collection efforts. Next slide, please. Just a quick touch here on local benefits. We have basically decided to sell all of our recovered materials to Ken Salvage, a staple since 1951. We could have sold it outside of town. We didn't want to. We wanted to promote the city of Thorold. We had all of our gas work done by NSM Mechanical, again, in the city of Thorold. We bought our forklift from a local supplier, Millwright Steel Fabricator, all local shops. So it's really helping the economy, specifically the city of Thorold. Next slide, please. So in terms of fire risk, it's really important to understand that the fire risk primarily starts at the primary shredder. And so we have redundant procedures in place to make sure that fires don't happen. Specifically, we have stabilization process where we talked about discharging either mechanical or through solution. We have visual inspection, and we also have a retesting of the batteries before they even go through the shredder to make sure that you are virtually eliminating any fire risk. Next slide, please. This is really important, and I apologize, I've gone over time here. In terms of fire readiness, this is really probably one of the most important things that I want to communicate to you this evening. We have fire extinguishers where we have, if you can imagine, sort of wheeled carts with lithium extinguishers sitting on the wheeled carts. Now, when I say lithium extinguishers, we've actually partnered with a group that has come up with a powder that, when mixed with solution, can extinguish lithium fires. This is something which is revolutionary. Everyone thinks that we cannot put out a lithium fire. Well, we have the technology and we have the extinguishers to actually put out a lithium fire should one start. And we will have not only the wheeled carts throughout the plant, we will also have the extinguishers installed on various locations, roughly 25 feet apart, in addition to a couple of 250-gallon tanks in the event that there's a larger incident. But we also have industrial fire blankets as well as a precaution just to isolate fires and cut off oxygen to the extent that anything does happen. And we really want to make sure that we are in close communication with the local fire station. We want to make sure that they understand the overall protocols that we have in place, the overall layout of where the batteries are and flow of the facility. Next slide, please. I'm not going to touch on this just in the interest of time, but we have significant regulatory oversight. We have a lot of eyes on this deal. The MECP is the one who reviews our application and approves it. There's very strict standards and regulatory reporting as a consequence. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll just sort of wrap up right here and I'll open up the questions. I apologize, Mr. Mayor, for running over.
Thank you, Ian, and I'm going to open the floor up for questions from council to the presenter. There's Ian online and Frank's here as well in the council chambers. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Ian, thank you very much for presenting to us this evening. I have a question concerning the lithium extinguishers. Have you seen them in action? Are you fully confident that they'll do the job you're hoping they'll do?
100%. The company that's actually supplying them have videos of lithium fires, like where they've actually punctured the batteries in an EV vehicle. The car is literally ablaze. The entire car is on fire. And within 3 minutes, using roughly 250 gallons of this solution, they extinguish the fire, something that's unheard of. A chemical extinguisher cannot do it. A fire truck cannot do it. But no, there's actual evidence that this has happened. They actually produce it. They actually present at regular trade shows. And in addition to that, I want to comment that this is not an R&D initiative. This is actually, it's actually in distribution mode right now. So it's not an R&D product. It's actually being circulated across the world right now.
Oh, good. Thank you. I also wanted to ask about your furnace to dry material stage. Is there any effects that we should know about that enter the environment as a result of that stage?
That's a great question. So if I can just sort of describe the process, I think it'll help you understand a little bit more how the air is actually scrubbed. So the primary shredder is where the batteries are initially shred. It gets sucked up into the furnace. The furnace, if you can imagine, is a 30-foot long tube, roughly 18 inches in diameter. That's where the material sort of on a decline comes across, dries up. But more importantly, the emissions first go through a secondary furnace with 2 burners to treat the air. It goes through another, what's called spray tower, where you have porcelain and water basically scrubbing the air. And if you can imagine, the spray tower is 45 feet high, roughly about 15 feet in diameter. It then goes into a second spray tower, same protocol. And then it actually goes through a catalytic unit. So if you can imagine, this catalytic unit is roughly 8 feet by 8 feet by about 5 feet. And it literally looks like a catalytic converter component that you would find in a car. So those little squares. And that is yet another process as part of the overall air scrubbing. So by the time it actually gets to the final fan that pushes the air up in terms of emissions, we are confident that the air has been scrubbed. And as I mentioned, the commissioning that we did in China was roughly 7% of what the actual tolerable limits are. So we're nowhere close to the upper limits in terms of permissible emissions.
Good. Thank you so much.
Are you done, Councillor Haya? Okay, Councillor Dendavita.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ian, I have a question for you. The environmental compliance approval increased your processing capacity from 12 tons to 24 tons and dry waste from 350 tons to 480 tons per day. Did you get approved to them for that?
So the proposal under the waste permit is to actually go from 350 tons to 480 tons. that is a request we're looking to have approved. The waste permit technical amendment allowing us to do that has not been approved. The approval, I understand, is in the final stages and should be issued imminently. But can I just ask, Councillor, are you asking a question with concern specifically about the volumes?
Yeah, I'm having a question. When you increase your capacity, do you tell the citizens, do you notify people before you start doing more?
Yeah, 100%. So we are not allowed to increase capacity without actually posting through the ERO system, which is that board that gives citizens the opportunity over 45 days to make any comments. So no, we are not allowed to go over the limits that are outlined in the air and noise ECA and the waste ECA. We have to provide proper notice. There's a 45-day comment period. We have to provide an amendment to the existing ECA. So no, it's a process. It's not something we can do without proper approvals.
But the city doesn't have it on its webpage so that people can find this information, or like, not that many people go to that page.
So under the ECA rules, we're required to notify neighboring residents, and so we've done that by local sort of hand post. In terms of other notifications, I know that the Ministry of the Environment actually has notified, obviously, the city, as well as the fire statement and sort of various sort of participants. But I'm not aware of what we need to do in terms of notifying the citizens themselves. I think they have an opportunity to comment, but I'm not sure exactly how that is posted and how the mechanics work.
Okay, one more question. How much are you going to increase your capacity more in the future? How big is this going to get?
So in terms of the line capacity is 10,000 tons per year. The reality is that when we move from one chemistry to another, we have to actually pause. We have to do a bit of a cleanup, because we can't mix chemistries in terms of the distribution of the recovered materials. So we're never going to actually come right up to that 10,000 ton per year limit. We're probably going to be more in the 9,000 ton per year limit. And in terms of capacity, we feel that this is kind of a sweet spot in terms of the overall demand that we're seeing in the Greater Horseshoe area. So no, there's no plans to increase the amount of volume going through the machine. And frankly, the machine, I think, is at the upper limit of what it is capable of doing. There were some questions early on about, are we going to install 2 lines? I'm pleased to report to the councillors that there's no chance we're going to install 2 lines. There's no room for it, number one. And number two, the second line that we have physically sitting in pieces in the warehouse, we're looking to actually potentially install that somewhere in the West Coast to promote battery recycling along the sort of western edge of the continent, whereas this could potentially handle sort of eastern Canada and potentially the northern eastern states.
Okay, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sentence, and then I got Councillor DeRosa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ian and Frank, for coming in today. I just had a couple questions. First, I have a question through you to the fire chief. Have you seen these fire extinguishers, the lithium fire extinguishers in action? It's the first time I ever heard of this.
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Sentence, no, I have not.
Okay. That might be something that we can look at in the future if this goes through and just see if they work, right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
for sure we can do that.
Thank you.
And I'm going to a conference this week, and I'll be talking to the peers up there as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate the idea of recycling the batteries. I know we have to do it, but I hope you can understand when it's in a neighborhood, our neighborhoods, then we have to really think about it, and we have to dig into it to make sure they're safe, because people really don't want this in their backyards. I understand what you're doing. So my questions to you are, first, can we get a copy of your presentation because it was cut short? Is that possible to get that? Okay, thank you.
It's in, yeah, you already have it.
I don't have it. So if I could get you got a paper copy? Okay.
We'll get you a copy.
Okay, thank you. My other question is community engagement. Have you invited the community to come over and look at your process and to see what you're doing and to look for themselves at what's going on? Other companies that have come in have done that, have reached out to the community.
So thank you for the question. We're still sort of in finalization or startup mode. We've done processing of alkaline batteries. We're obviously waiting for the permit for the waste technical amendment before we can continue on with the other chemistries. The plan is to actually have sort of an unveiling of this plant where we would invite various political and elected officials, and we would actually invite the community to come in, have a look, and respond to any questions they may have. So that has not been done yet, but that is part of the overall launch that we are planning.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I think that's very important, just so they know. And when you start talking batteries, the people are going to get upset or they're going to get worried. And if they come in and look, that's the best way to show them. But other than that, that's all I have to say right now. Just we'll see how it goes in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sentence. Councillor DeRose, you're up.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ian, Frank, appreciate it. I wanted to ask you if you can give me just a brief description of the security you have in place presently. On-site security? Ian?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
You cut out a little bit. I
I
didn't hear the
just want a brief
question.
description of your on-site security.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if it's in place, and you can just explain it to us. Thank you.
Yes, so we have a fully monitored alarm system, so obviously 24/7 security, and it includes heat detectors, smoke detectors. We have cameras that are actually on the inside of the entire complex, so we can see exactly what's going on basically every vantage point within the actual facility. And we also have exterior cameras as well. I just want to advise the council that we don't plan to store anything outside, so there won't be any batteries outside. We will not use the exterior space at all. Everything will be contained within the facility.
And will there be someone there on site 24/7?
Actually operate Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So there's no plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor? Anyone else? What? He's frozen? Go ahead, Councillor Dedevitis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one more question for Fire Chief Dixon. Those fire extinguishers you're speaking about, those new ones, does Thorold Fire Department have those?
Through you, Mayor, no, we do not. This is the first I've heard of them.
Okay, think we can look into getting some?
No.
No.
But I'll look into what they're all about.
Okay, okay, just curious. If any new equipment, especially with this in our backyard, I think we should have all the resources we need to handle this and to
Yeah.
see something bad would happen.
Through you, Mayor, about lithium ion, it's still quite new to all of us, and I know the OFM has been working diligently with the government to figure out what to do here. So hearing about these extinguishers is hopefully good news. But like I say, when I see the peers this weekend or this week when we go up to conference, I'm going to ask some questions to see if there's actually a thing out there or not. As we've heard about fire blankets and all those other sort of things. So just
Okay.
stand by on that. I'll
Perfect.
get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go
If
ahead.
I may, just to make a comment. So we literally just finalized the agreement to obtain these fire extinguishers as well as the powder that's going to be mixed up with these solutions. And because they're in commercialization, at the commercialization stage, they actually are selling to local fire departments as well. So I was not able to speak with Mr. Dixon prior to the meeting, but I will be sure to give him a call to provide him with full information and disclosure regarding what the company is and all the details of how that actually works, and more specifically, how the fire department and the overall fire chief can assess whether this is appropriate for the city of Thorold.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up from Councillor Dedevitis to the chief. Obviously, we had a lithium fire in the city of Thorold some years ago. Do we have a preparedness plan now established with this new plant? A boundary that we're going to do an evacuation area, in regards to this specific plant now that they're going to be handling lithium batteries? Because before, when they first came, it was just alkaline batteries. Because I know we had this situation before. Do we have a preparedness plan in the city?
Through you, Mayor, at this point in time, we do not. When myself and Maria, acting CEO at the time, went and toured the facility to see what it was all about, I really do not have a lot of concerns for what they're processing at this point in time. When they're bringing the lithium-ion batteries in, at this point, they're in 45-gallon drums, and they're the very tiny batteries. and they're all individually sealed in plastic bags, and there's a process that they go through. So my concern at this point in time is there is none at this point in time. However, I will connect with them again to see furthermore about this extinguishing agent, to find out if this is a thing of something that we can do.
Recording
and
in
then
progress.
If I feel that we need to go on into that next stage and make a plan for the community, then I think we can do that, no problem. But at this point in time, I don't see the urgency to do that at this time.
Okay, I appreciate, because one concern of mine was if these type of fire extinguishers don't work, we obviously know you can't put water on them because it really activates them more, it really doesn't extinguish the fire. So as they expand, we should be maybe considering as a municipality to prepare ourselves in case we do have another mishap like we did some years ago on Allenport Road.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My only comment is I just want to make sure that we have the public information out there so that the general public, especially around that vicinity, because the explosion that happened at Clean Harbors, it wasn't that far away. So it's still in people's minds. So I think it's very important that a safety plan be developed, that be communicated, and also tours of the plant to give some reassurance and make sure things are being done properly, and for the residents firsthand that live in the local area to get that viewing of that, so make them feel comfortable to the degree that they can having that facility there. Because again, originally this was just supposed to be an alkaline battery. Now we're going to the lithium. Yeah, there's some trepidation out there, and I think we need to make sure that the public has an opportunity to voice their concerns and to see what's happening there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, one last quick question, Ian. We've heard a lot about the safety and safe and welfare of the residents of Thorold South, Ellenberg, anyone nearby. I want to ask you directly, would you feel comfortable purchasing a house within stone's throwing distance of the plant and living there?
Thank you, Councillor. Without any equivocation, yes. We are going to make sure that all the health and safety protocols are absolutely best in class, and you will see. I've actually had conversations where I'm encouraging to possibly host town hall meetings to get the residents comfortable. We'll be doing regular testing, so unequivocally, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And there was Councillor DeRose, you mentioned something earlier I just want to touch on, as well as the security measures within that building. That place there is locked down like Fort Knox as well, like to get in through the gates and everything, there's a major security system just to get on the property as well. Well, not always, but there's an automated system that you have to have the codes and everything to. Okay? Okay. Thank you, Ian and Frank. You didn't get to speak, but thank you for coming to council.
Thank you very much for your time.
We can put a face to you now next time we see you, so thank you.
Wonderful.
And,
thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Okay. There are no delegations, and we have 2 consent items. Can I get a mover and a seconder for those items? I got Councillor Decker and Councillor Sentence. Does anyone want to speak to either of the 2 consent items? Okay. I see none. All those in favor, we're taking them as a block. Opposed? That is carried. Items for consideration. CAO 1 2025 Personnel Policy Updates. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor O'Hare. We'll put that up, and Ashley's here to answer any questions if there are from anyone on council. Go ahead, Councillor Sentence, do you have a question?
One of them that I wanted to talk about is this.
Yeah, the report's on the floor.
Okay, so it's report CLK 4 2025, the animal control bylaw.
No, that's no. This is items for consideration. We go through them one at a time.
Oh,
Councillor.
we're doing them one at a time. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
I thought we were going to say
Opposed? That is carried. Ashley, you're off the hook. Okay, CLK 3, 2025, proposed amendments to public forum committee meeting procedures. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? I got Councillor Hanley and I got Councillor Ditavitas. Does anyone, that report's up? Does anyone want to speak to that? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I was reading through the appendix of the proposed amendments, it seems like the subject matter that you can speak on is going to be very constricted. When I was reading here, it said request, basically the committee opportunity for public comments, feedback, and requests of general application respecting the city policies, procedures, and bylaws. And then there's 2.2 that has up to G, and it has items that won't be considered in there. I guess I just want to make sure we don't get into a situation where individuals can't come and speak in front of a public advisory committee. So I'm going to throw some examples out there, and either you or the clerk can say yay or nay. So if someone has a bylaw issue that has been dealt with, can they come in front of that committee and speak, or is that something that's now going to be restricted? And I'm using examples because we've had several of those in the past.
No, it's a good question. I'll ask the clerk to answer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it would certainly they'd be able to come forward and share their experience if they feel that a certain process hasn't been followed or there's room for improvement in enforcing a bylaw, for example. That would be fair game. If they're asking for a rebate of some kind, I would say that the way the changes are structured, that wouldn't be in order.
Pardon me, it would not be in order? Or
No.
would be in order?
Would not.
Would not be in order. Okay. So then, but they would then have an opportunity to come in front of council and ask for that rebate. Is that not correct, the way I'm reading the amendments?
Council is free to bring forward a notice of motion on any subject matter that's within council's jurisdiction.
Okay. I'm going to step back here. This because it was created in 2007. I was the mayor at the time, and we had gone through a process somewhere around here that it seemed like the public wasn't able to participate and have their voice or their concerns listened to. There wasn't a lot of public meetings. City Hall got moved here very in a fashion that the community was not happy with. So through my council, we introduced the Public Advisory Committee meetings. They were there to help facilitate problem solving with staff, the individual, and some counselors. That was the whole concept of it. It was, and it was in a committee room. It wasn't on camera. It was to take a bit of the pressure off, because not everyone likes to come in public speak. There's a lot of people that are nervous. They don't like that. They want to get their point across. They want to have some discussion. Staff then can speak freely in terms of how it can be remedied, what's been done. And there's usually a couple counselors that sat on that committee to help facilitate that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like it's becoming more rigid, very little that can be said at these meetings, and it doesn't really help where we're going, because ultimately the idea was to give opportunity to the public to come and speak and try to resolve an issue without always coming to council. So not all the council members had to go there, but none of the decisions at that committee were made by the councilors that were there. It always had to come back to council if there was any monetary, but staff worked to try to resolve the issues. I see this as a departure of what that concept was and what they were trying to achieve back then. So if that's the case of what we're moving to something rigid where they could just come and make a presentation, that's it, I'm not going to be supporting this. I don't think it serves the public. Also, it says it's going to be videotaped. I think it should move back to a committee room where it can be just
I'll let the clerk
process. Yeah, well, it said it's going to be YouTube, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just for clarity, the way they're held now, it is on YouTube.
Yes, I know that. I don't like that, though. Because the whole idea, and it's in front of the council, it's in the chambers, it's very formal. The idea was to work with individuals that had concerns and try to, we have city meetings for other issues all the time in that room, over there, and we try to work through them. That's the whole process of the Public Advisory Committee meetings that we're trying to achieve. back then. Maybe it's changed, maybe I'm just, you know, a relic of the past in the sense that that's what I was trying to get the public to be able to voice their concerns and deal with stuff, instead of just getting frustrated and angry and then doing something that is not good for the community. Because again, we had a lot of student issues, we had a lot of other bylaw issues that were not being done. Even here, we've had several bylaw issues come forward where council made some policy direction changes, such as not billing someone $100,000 and now coming up with an estimate prior to that happening. So there's been policy changes through those public advisory. That's going to disappear with this new format. So I could go on for hours, but
Okay,
I know,
well,
the
let
Leafs are
Manoj
playing
respond.
tonight, so I'm going to cut it off there.
I'll cut it off.
If others
That's
have concern, that's great. If they don't, well, life goes on.
Yeah, so just wanted to add, Councillor, I know that we had 4 public forums at one point in time with a couple of councils sitting in each of them. And based on the feedback that we have received number of years back, that format was not working effectively. I'm just providing that feedback. And that is the reason it was decided that all councils should be present. And then also the departure is that every meeting that happens here, whether it's a committee meeting, council meeting, they're all recorded for the public purposes. So that was the other departure. That was, again, policy decision that was done. In terms of when you talk about the waiving of some fees and all that kind of stuff. Learning from that, there's a standard operating procedure that was put in place so that those kind of stuff doesn't happen. And you recall that we have, if there is a threshold of, I don't know, 10,000, 25,000, we have to provide them based on the direction that we receive from council. This is what we has been going on, the process of some of these procedures and policy changes to streamline the practices that has been forwarded so we can streamline it. Moving forward, if this is not working the way council wanted to work, of course we can always come and change it based on the wishes of council.
Okay, anyone else? We had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor?
Mr. Mayor, because I like to ask for a recorded vote because I cannot just say I'm opposed to it. It doesn't get recorded in the minutes. So formally, I have to ask for a
No,
recorded
it's
vote when
fine.
I'm
It's
opposed.
in, it's in order.
Yeah, so that, I'm asking before we have a vote.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the mover was Councillor Handley. So Councillor D'Angelo has asked for a recorded vote. So we'll start with you. Okay. So your vote, yes or no?
No.
Councillor DeRose?
Opposed?
Okay, Councillor Longo?
I'm opposed.
Councillor Decker?
I'm opposed.
4.
Opposed?
Okay, so that's,
And I,
If you want my vote,
Councillor Sentence
I'm in favor.
and me.
it's lost anyways, but.
Well, I'm opposed. So I want, because I think this should go back to staff and be reworked and come back to council. Okay? That's, I think it's, the intent here is good, and let's just clean it up. You know where I'm coming from? Yeah. Okay? Okay, so it's defeated, so staff will have a look at it, see what we can do to address some of the concerns that were raised, okay? I think the intent is good, let's just make it so that it works. Okay, CLK 4 2025. Respecting Bill 42, 2025, a bill to amend bylaw 79, 2017, being the city's animal care and control bylaw. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor DeRose. That is on the screen, and now we're open. I know you wanted to pull it, but so we're going to let you go first, Councillor Sentence.
We're pulling things we're not pulling things. Who knows? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to refer this back to staff, and my reasoning is this. The wording, I understand this. I've had problems in my yard. I had to stop feeding the birds. Rats would come in.
Okay, just if you're referring it, don't get into a big discussion. Just say why you're referring it and what you want them to look at. That's it.
cut me off all.
As a referral, we don't debate.
I think this is too rigid, and it sounds like you cannot have a bird feeder and you cannot have something, to me. And that wasn't the intent from my point of view, was to have,
Okay,
be able
do
to
I have
have
a
it.
seconder for that? Okay, I got Councillor O'Hare. So we're not gonna debate this, we're either referring it back, and if that gets
I'll put the motion that I have for a deferral, and it'll be to incorporate changes.
it's actually being referred back, so that we can, okay?
It's a referral? Or
It's referred back to have another look and clean it up. Okay, so you're a mover, you're a seconder. We're gonna vote on that. If that's what happens, they'll have a look at it. If it's defeated, then it'll come back on the floor, okay? All those in favor of the referral? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so that's going back. You want clarity on that language, and you can address any concerns you have with the clerk so that they know exactly. I understand where you're coming from. You're not opposed to what they're doing, but you want clarity on the amendments, okay? We're not debating it, okay? We can debate it when it comes back,
Okay.
okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be useful to provide some points so that it doesn't come back and we waste
Well,
people's time?
you can express your concerns, but we don't debate it on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Once he does
Yep.
what is being asked, it'll come back, okay?
Okay.
Okay, DF 9, 2025, procurement and budget control policy updates. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this? Counselor Longo and Counselor D'Angelo. And that is up there now, and the floor is open for any questions or anything that anybody wants to raise. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Assumption of Confederation West Phase 8 subdivision, PWCS 19-2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this, please? Councillor DeRose and Councillor Decker. Is there any discussion on this? It's on the screen. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PWCS 2025 Rural Roads Tar and Chip Program Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Hanley and Councillor Sentence. That's up on the screen. Is there any, if there's any questions, staff's here to answer. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
No, I just want to thank staff for dealing with Cataract Road. I was on it the other day, and there was a lot of potholes. So I see it's the primary one on the list for the tar and chip, so I think there'll be a lot of happy people out there. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PWCS 2025 Urban Roads Resurfacing Program Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that one? Councillor Decker and Councillor DeRose. That's on the screen now. Is there any comments, questions? Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question from some residents in Port Robinson. Back in the summer of 2016, the city installed new water main on River Street, Port Robinson East. Required digging up the asphalt pavement from the intersection of Cross Street to the intersection of South Street North. After the installation, the road surface was not restored to pre-construction condition, and it was only patched since 2017. Port Robinson East residents have asked city staff in writing many times for the road to be repaved or to pre-construction condition because the road keeps deteriorating and only gets more patching, so the road surface keeps getting rougher and bumpier. So is this road on the list for future resurfacing in the near future? And yeah, so that's my first question.
And,
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, we have Sean here. Can
Thanks,
you
Sean.
respond to that, please?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is certainly on our list of priorities. The road at the time was outside the urban boundary.
is now inside the urban boundary. And we would like to not only repave it, but urbanize it and bring in curbs and sidewalks in the entire area.
Timeline on that, just ballpark, just so I can get back to residents.
I would suggest it's probably going to be within 5 years.
Within
5 years?
5 years?
Yep.
Within 5 years.
Okay.
So,
So not in the next few years, it could be.
It really comes down to budget discussion and making sure that we prioritize all of our elements. We have a lot of roads that we need to fix.
Right. Yeah, I think they kind of feel they've been putting on the back burner, but, okay, I'll share the information. Thank you.
Counselor, that's something you can ask in a, to, as a budget issue to see if we can expedite that time period, okay? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was looking at the report, and I don't see anything specifically for St. David's on there. I've had a lot of issues where people have called me regarding St. David's, the stretch from Pine Street to White Street. It's getting horrendous. Could you give us any bit of an update of what's happening with that road?
I think Sean or Jeff, I know that I've spoken to you about that. That's I've been getting the same calls, so I know where you're coming.
Yeah, you have to drive on the wrong side of the road to avoid major car damage. So,
so Sean or Jeff, do you want to respond to that? I know some of the reasons that you might want to explain and what we're looking at for timeline.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that section of road was certainly identified as part of the St. David's reconstruction. Right now we're doing, let's call it phase 2 of the St. David's from the Y intersection to Ormond Street, a downtown line there. We will come back and do the next as quickly afterwards as possible. So that is actually the next phase of it.
And if I'm not mistaken, and Jeff, if you want to touch on this, there's also some development going on along that road that that's another reason you don't want to redo the road and then have to tear it up to put servicing. Am I correct? Because I'd like that explained, because maybe that's then people can understand some of the reasons why we move in a certain way.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. And as you can imagine, once the reconstruction of Town Line Road takes place, there will be a lot of detours, so there'll be a lot more additional traffic on that section of St. David's Street, which will cause it to deteriorate more quickly. But having discussed the matter with our Public Works team, we're going to keep an eye on a regular basis, and we'll be patching where it makes sense to patch those sections that are really starting to crumble now.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
yeah, again, just timing-wise, like, again, I didn't hear a date of.
Okay,
when
is it right after we do the other project?
These are issues that come up, annually. Like, we didn't expect Cataract Road to fall apart as quickly as it did this spring. Otherwise, this might have been something that we would plan to deal with in the fall. But, given that it's really a budget discussion, and we'll be able to provide a list of these kind of legacy projects that we've been kind of bumping back in the schedule, like River Street and St. David's Street will be one on that list as well.
Again, that through you, Mr. Mayor, it doesn't help me time. Like, we're looking 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like residents are asking. I have no answer for them. That's what I'm looking
Mr. Mayor,
for. I'm not going to hold you to.
I'll spend as much money as you can.
No, hopefully you're looking at putting it in next year's budget, but then again, that's a council decision on the budget number. Am I correct?
That's true. And Mr. Mayor, and the condition of the road's important because we have to look at the entire road system, the entire network. So although I'd like to say it'll be something that will be, closely considered, because we don't want to be spending good money after bad on patches and repairs. But at the same time, we have to keep an eye on some of the other roads in our network that have maybe higher traffic volumes, and make a calculated guess, I guess, if you will, in the spring of the year when the frost comes out of the ground, to see where the best investment is.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I just wanted to go on though, like, even if it's, to me, even if you look at tar and chipping it, because it's in really horrendous shape. The volume isn't on there anymore because they're traveling on all the other roads around there, right? People are avoiding that, so the other roads are getting more traffic than they should. To me, it has to be up as a priority with looking at all the other roads. So just putting some patching on it is not working because it's getting really, really bad there. But that's just my viewpoint. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Hain.
Question for you to the appropriate staff member. When we're done, the reurbanization, the revitalization of St. David's Town Line, is the city going to request that they be uploaded to the region and get rid of the burden on the taxpayer? I don't believe, because I believe that before, even when we done the Ormond Street project, in regards to the roads, when they were downloaded to all the municipalities, Thorold didn't appeal any of the decisions by the region. And over the years, I've been told that until we revitalized the roads and upgraded them and urbanized them, that we couldn't upload them back to the region. So now St. David's Road is in a condition that it should be uploaded back to the region. Town Line Road's going to be in the condition after this project where it should be uploaded to the region and shouldn't be a burden on the taxpayers of Thorold no more, like other municipalities in the Niagara region. At the time, council may not be aware of it, we did not appeal. There was an appeal process when they downloaded Richmond Street, Collier Road, St. David's Road, Town Line Road, Ormond Street, Merrittville, all the highways, all the major artery roads. And the city had an opportunity to appeal it and say it shouldn't be downloaded. And at the time, they put out markers. And if it got so certain amount of traffic flow, the region would still resume responsibility for road. We didn't appeal it, so we got stuck with the.
I can ask staff, but I know that as part of that first phase that went from Collier Road to Brock University, that got uploaded to the region when it was done. Am I correct? So the
Yes,
region assumed that section. We had to fix it between us and St. Catharines, and then it got up.
That's right. That's why I say when we're done this next phase, the Town Line Road to Ormond Street, that hopefully the city will request that it be uploaded to the region also, because it was at one time a regional road, and it got downloaded to the municipality, and we didn't appeal it. So it's time to give it back to them.
Mr. Mayor.
We all pay at the end of the day anyways.
Very good question. The region is going through an update of their transportation master plan, and part of that exercise includes a road rationalization study. They're going to be looking at connectivity. So regional roads typically handle the higher volume traffics, even if they don't, if they go between municipalities. And Town Line Road, by its description, is right along the municipal boundary. So it might be a good candidate. The question is, what happens at Ormond Street? Because they typically
even now,
to
the
look
region.
at how the network is going to function, right? Because it's going to handle truck traffic and
Yes.
and those types of things.
And
So
electric
it's
vehicles are heavier too.
It's something we can look at, though, right?
Yes, because, if you look at St. Catharines, that road extends down into Harts Road, which is a regional road, Mary Street Regional Road. It comes to Thorold, it's a city road.
Okay. Anyway, anyone else? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just to Councillor Hanley's point, it was between 2000 and 2006 when those roads got uploaded. I know when I became regional councillor in 2006, I was able to get Collier Road uploaded at their cost, but then they snuck in a clause that said you have to upgrade the roads before they took anyone. So we were able to get Ormond Street was another one, and then St. David's was another one that they took only the portion from Collier Road all the way to the highway. That was all done in 2006, 7, and 8 in terms of uploading. So that's the last time we've given the region roads back. But it's very important, and this is where I'm going to you, Mr. Mayor, and our regional councillor. That's the two people that will make the difference of any other roads getting uploaded, because you really have to fight there and come up with some agreements with other municipalities. Because when Collier Road got uploaded, St. Catharines benefited because Burley Hill then became a regional road, and you can see now it's maintained at a higher standard, so it wasn't as slick and slippery in the wintertime because the region plows that quite substantially. Before, when it was a city road, it was a very dangerous hill to climb because it wasn't well maintained. It was at a lower standard. So this is, if you need council's endorsement, that's great, but it's the two regional councillors that are gonna pay the role if any of these roads get uploaded. And the connectivity of Town Line Road to Ormond Street, because Ormond Street has been uploaded also, that was another one. They'll be able to make that argument that the connectivity's there and that should become a regional road.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, so we got that report on the floor. We had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. PWCS 28-2025 declaration of Fire Station 3 as surplus to city's needs. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, for that report? I got Councillor Ditavitas and Councillor DeRose. Okay, that's up on the, it's up on the screen. And Fire Chief Dixon's here to answer any questions. Go ahead, Councillor Hayman.
Has this been presented to the residents of the land surplus? Is there, a public meeting? Is there any outside interest or entities within the municipality that may have use of that, or are we just looking to put it on the market and selling it?
Well, the surplus needs, then we'll see what public interest there is as far as property.
But are the residents been notified this is what our intention is?
They were notified that we closed the station and
Yes.
all that.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it over to the chief, but
Through Mr. Mayor, yeah, so that's really the third recommendation, council. Once we've
sorry.
declared surplus and we have an appraised value, I think that will give council more options as to how and if the disposal of the property could take place.
We'll declare it surplus first, and then we'll make them part of the discussion, the residents?
If that's the direction of council, I think the time to make that decision is once we have an appreciation for the value of the land and marketability.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna, obviously from the picture, I can just follow up, we're looking to sell 2 parcels, right? As the two red outlined areas? Okay, thank you.
go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Jeff, do you think maybe we should do a public meeting before to get some input from residents? Because I know they'll be up in arms if they, you know what I'm saying? If they hear it sounds like it's proceeding without them having any input, and they kind of want to have input in their community. Just a suggestion. I don't know if that's possible, but.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I know that there is some interest in the property from the residents in the community. And I think that could be one of the options that we come back, what is the process? Do we put it on the market? Do we negotiate with an interest? And then also, we'll be looking for some direction on how do we want the proceeds of the sale to be directed, or how you want to manage that. But that's really
Can
the
we
next
involve them simultaneously
Well,
as this
if
process
we get the
goes?
appraisal, then we come back with the path forward. And then one of the things can be that consultation, we sell that, does the money stay in Port Robinson? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Those are the discussions.
We've done that before.
Yeah, those are the discussions we'll have.
We've done that before.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jeff.
go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I like that idea of getting the residents involved in this process. But one of the options I like to see when staff come back is if we could ask for a request for proposal to see what someone is willing to put there or change it to. I just don't want to be in a position where we just sell the land and then someone just holds on to it just for development purposes, and it doesn't really benefit the community of Port Robinson.
Yeah.
So I'd rather see us, if we can, as one of the options, to see if we can get some sort of proposal of what anyone wants to do with the property before they actually, before we start selling or disposing of the property.
Thank you. Okay,
You just sent me.
go ahead, Councillor Long.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the appropriate. Notice that there's an amount of $4,500 to conduct an appraisal. Have we chosen an appraiser, or do we have one on a retainer?
Through Mr. Mayor, not at this point.
Okay. I'll just make a comment, Mr. Mayor. This
Yeah,
goes
go
back
ahead.
to
Go
a
ahead.
comment I made a while ago about having, putting out an RFP for a realtor, an appraiser, somebody that we can use, maybe at a better price, maybe not, but somebody that we can rely on for this sort of issue.
Exactly.
And it's something we've had, traditionally, we have had that. So that process is there to reinstitute it, Councillor Hall. Okay,
Great.
all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Notice of motion. Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Yeah, notice a motion for an upcoming meeting, Strong Mayor Powers.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to put a motion forward in regards to a planning matter that needs to be prioritized in regards to the new school proposed for Rolling Meadows.
You can bring it with him. I think it's being dealt with what you're talking about, but we got enough time in between if you have to bring it, okay?
Well, that's why I figured I'd bring it forward, because then you got 3 weeks to get it done.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got, oh, go ahead, Councillor. Sorry, Councillor Beterbiev.
Notice motion of upcoming meeting to address issues with the planning department.
Okay. Okay. I've got also a motion from Councillor Hanley. Go ahead. Do you have a seconder for that motion, Councillor Hanley? Councillor DeRose is seconding that motion.
Let me just get it up here, please. Thank you. Whereas the motor racing industry is a vital contributor to the local economy, generating significant revenue through events, tourism, and local employment. Whereas the motor racing industry in the region relies heavily on the importation of specialized equipment, parts, and supplies from the United States, including specialized racing tires, which may be subject to tariffs imposed by the United States government. Whereas the imposition of these tariffs could increase the cost of motor racing operations, affecting the financial sustainability of local businesses. And whereas the local economy could suffer adverse effects due to the increased operational costs in the motor racing industry, which could lead to job losses, reduced tax revenue, and a decrease in the community's access to a valuable recreation and tourism asset. And whereas the Government of Canada provides a framework for requesting tariff remission under specific circumstances, and the Department of Finance, in consultation with other relevant federal departments, has the authority to grant remission relief through an order in council, if deemed necessary to address exceptional economic impacts. Now therefore be resolved that the Corporation and City of Thorold enacts as follows. That the City of Thorold Council supports the tariff remission request of Thorold businesses and urges the Government of Canada to grant due consideration to requesting for tariff relief. So,
You want to speak to that? It's pretty well laid out. Do you have anything else to say?
I just, it's in regards to, obviously, we know what's happening with the 25 tariffs, so, because there's a little metal in a racing tire, so it's now it's subject to a tariff. And Bicknell Racing Products actually is one business in town. They have 4 divisions in Canada, United States. Donnie's Piece, the track's been there for over 77 years. It actually puts an increase on the tire at $140. So to go get 4 new tires now, because this tariff is an increase of $560. By council supporting this, they actually have a 190-page report that they're sending to the government to ask for remission in regards to the racing industry, not only Maryville, all the tracks in Ontario and Canada.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. A statement by Councillor Hanley on the food giveaway.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. On April 12th, as you know, I put out a request to see if some councillors wanted to attend, where our anonymous donor again graciously supported the community in a food giveaway. The mayor was there packing bags. Councillor DeAngelo was there. Councillor DeRose was there. We expanded this time. Last time we were at 252 personal residents we delivered groceries to. This time we were at over 320. I ended up delivering, meaning I'll just tell you, it was 660 bags almost we delivered in one day to over 300 families. So Again, thanks to all the councilors that come out and helped, and
And
thanks
the
to the numbers.
volunteers, there was a
The
good group
volunteers,
of
yeah, a lot of group. But Knights of Columbus was there, you know, my wife Doreen Sims, George Ravenick, as we all know from the community, was there, and helped out significantly in that stuff. The Knights was a big help. Albert Chamar done a lot of deliveries for us. He attended houses, which was outreach, same as Councilor O'Hara had done before. So we're expanding, as the need becomes more within the municipality, and I'm ever so grateful we have someone like the anonymous donor that's able to help our municipality.
Thank you, Councillor Hanley. Okay, we're going to go into closed session. Before I ask for a mover and seconder, I don't need to read that because there's no one going electronically, correct? Okay. So we'll put on the screen why we're going into closed session. And I'll get the clerk to read that. I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Council do now move into closed session to receive confidential information respecting a matter respecting a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board under Section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality under Section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act. Update and request from K. Blackley, broker, respecting Kiefer Mansion listing. Number 2, a matter respecting a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board under 239(2)C of the Municipal Act. A matter respecting a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality under 239(2)K of the Municipal Act, and information supplied in confidence by a third party under 239(2)I of the Municipal Act, Ormond Street North Properties. Number 3, a matter respecting educational or training sessions wherein no council business or decision-making shall be materially advanced under Section 239(3.1) of the Municipal Act, and that's for an educational session respecting the regulatory, management, financial requirements of cemetery operations and the city's cemetery services master plan.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Can I get a mover and a seconder to go into closed session? I've got Councillor DeRose and Councillor Hanley. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we'll now, are we going into meeting room 1? Or are we staying here? Okay, so we're going to move into meeting room 1 for closed session, and we'll reconvene in a few minutes. If someone needs to
We need the resolution.
Yeah, that's part of our business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We good?
So we're still live streaming, right?
Good.
We're good?
Okay. Just quickly. Okay.
Ready? I'd like to welcome us back to open session and business arising from closed session. So the clerk will put these, the business up and one at a time. The motion's going to be done separately?
Yeah, that'll come in right after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a mover and a seconder for the, I got Counselor Hanley and Counselor Sentence, that confidential information dated April 29th, 2025, respecting Kiefer Mansion listing be received, and that staff proceed as directed in closed session. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now, the resolution. And I'll get the clerk to read this. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the resolution? Got Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Decker, and now this is the resolution that came out. Go ahead.
Whereas bylaw 21, 2002 amended the zoning of 14 St. David Street West, the subject property, to permit use as a heritage inn interpreted as equivalent to a country inn, as well as a restaurant, office, and related accessory uses. And whereas it was always the City of Thorold's intention to maintain these permitted uses, but they were unintentionally omitted in bylaw 60-2019, being the city's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Now therefore be it resolved that the Corporation of the City of Thorold enacts as follows: that Thorold City Council declares that the subject lands possess legal non-conforming rights for use as a heritage inn, restaurant, office, and associated accessory uses.
Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, this is, can I get a mover and a seconder for this? I got Councillor Decker, Councillor Ditavitas. That confidential information dated April 29th, 2025, respecting Ormond Street North properties be received, and that staff proceed as directed in closed session. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that's it, right?
Well, just,
Yeah.
let me get to the last,
Educational segment received.
yep. I just want to make sure it's,
And do we do it at the training?
Yeah, just received.
Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Counselor Sentence and Counselor O'Hare. That educational session respecting the regulatory, management, and financial requirements of cemetery operations and the city cemetery services master plan be received. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay.
So, just quickly, before you go there, because one of the bylaws was deferred, we're gonna do that separately.
So, the animal care, correct?
Yep, and then we'll do the rest.
So that one there is sent back, so it's not even, we don't do it.
Let's just do this as a deferral.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do this one first?
Yeah.
Okay, first, can I get a mover and a second for all the bylaws? I got,
No, just do this one separately.
okay, Counselor Longo and Counselor O'Hare. That Bill 38, 2025, a bylaw to amend bylaw 79, 2017, being the City of Thorold's Animal Care and Control bylaw, be deferred to a future council meeting, of council to be held at the same time as the associated report and with amendments for further consideration. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And now can I get a mover and a seconder for the rest of the bills, right?
So they're all listed there.
Counselor DeRose and Counselor D'Angelo. So that is Bill 37, 2025, Bill 39, 2025, Bill 40, 2025, 41, 2025, and Bill 42, 2025. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There being no further business, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 9:16 p.m. and I want to thank everybody